Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Mastering Substance Abuse Screening, Customizable Solutions for Your Workforce. My name is Danielle Olivier, Marketing Generalist here at AccuSource HR, and I will be your moderator today. Before we dive into today's presentation, a quick legal disclaimer. The content provided in this presentation is for informational purposes only, and it should not be construed as legal advice or serve as specific guidance. We strongly encourage you to seek the advice of qualified counsel, preferably one who specializes in employment law, prior to engaging in any legal decision regarding drug and/or background screening policies or compliance concerns. Now I'm pleased to introduce today's presenter, Melissa Knockens, Director of Drug and Occupational Health at AccuSource HR. Melissa brings 16 years of experience in the drug and occupational health industry, specializing in drug screening compliance. Throughout Melissa's career, she has held various roles, including interfacing with medical review officers, collaborating with clinic management, and facilitating program development. She has also served as a certified designated employer representative. Melissa works closely with our clients to ensure adherence to company and drug abuse policies, support occupational health requirements, and promotes the industry best practices. Additionally, Melissa currently serves on the Government Affairs Committee with the National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association and DASA. Now I will turn the presentation over to Melissa.
Thank you, Danielle, and welcome everybody. So I am going to move to, so our agenda today is going over drug testing, occupational health, collection site management, our concierge services, random program management, post-accident reasonable suspicion, Department of Transportation, and after hours on-site testing, along with oral proctoring on demand and oral self-collects. So first, we're going to start with the drug testing. So drug testing matters in the workplace, and why is that? Employees under the influence can cause accidents, especially in the safety-sensitive roles. Example is a manufacturing worker impaired by drug causes, injuries leading to costly downtime and legal actions. And then we have regulatory compliance. Employers in industries like transportation must comply with strict testing requirements. Failure to comply can lead to fines, legal action, and business disruptions. There was a case study, a trucking company fined for non-compliance with DOT drug testing rules. This is very common in some organizations if their compliance is not up to date and go through an audit. Enhancing productivity and reducing costs. So substance abuse contributes to decreased efficiency and hiring turnovers. A drug-free workplace can lead to improved morale and lower healthcare costs. A company implementing a drug testing program saw a 30% drop in workplace incidents. Mitigation, legal, and financial risks. Employers may be held liable for accidents caused by impaired employees. There's lawsuits following employee-caused accidents revealed the company failed to conduct a pre-employment drug screening for their pre-hires. And then promoting a positive workplace culture. Drug testing policies reinforce a culture of accountability and safety. Encouraging treatment options for employees with substance abuse issues can support retention and employee well-being. So currently, there are some drug result trends. Quest Diagnostics released their 2024 index, which shows all the data. So I thought it was kind of interesting to see from 2023, marijuana positivity rate increased from 2022, which was a 4.3% rate increase. Or it was a 4.5 increase from 2022. And the federal positivity rate was 2.4%. That's stayed steady from 2022 to 2023. And then marijuana obviously is the leading drug for positivity rates through each industry. And then there's a link here where you can actually download the Quest Diagnostics 2024 index to see what other trends are happening. The impact on safety, productivity, and compliance. So the impact of the workforce or the workplace, drug testing, it reduces work accidents. Employees under the influence of drugs or alcohol have slower reaction times, impaired judgment, and reduced coordination, increasing the risk of accidents. Enhances workplace security. Substance abuse is often linked to workplace violence, theft, and other disruptive behaviors that compromise a safe workplace environment. And then you also have the safety of the general public as well. Productivity increases abstinence and tardiness. Substance use is associated with higher rates of unexcused absences and reduced reliability. Boost employee performance. Drug-free workers tend to be more focused, efficient, and engaged. And then reduces turnover and training costs. Employees with past pre-employment and random drug tests are less likely to cause disruptions, leading to lower turnover rates and reduced costs related to hiring and training replacements. And then you also have lowering healthcare costs. Substance abuse often leads to higher medical expenses, disability claims, and increased with other health benefits. And then you have compliance. Ensures regulatory adherence in industries regulated by agencies like the Department of Transportation, most commonly with strict drug and alcohol testing programs. Failure to comply can result in hefty fines, legal actions, etc. Minimizes legal liability. So a well-documented drug testing policy can help protect your organization from lawsuits related to workplace injuries, like wonderful termination claims or wrongful termination claims or negligence. Supports workers' compensation and insurance claims. Many insurers provide discounts for companies with drug-free workplace programs as they reduce the likelihood of cost claims. So I just wanted to share one other point. A strong workplace drug testing program enhances safety, improves workplace reliability, and ensures compliance with legal and industry standards. And then next slide. All right, some states protecting off-duty marijuana use. This is a little bit newer. the laws coming into play. California was one of the first ones to put this in play, and other states are starting to follow suit. So in 2000, as of March 2025, various states and local laws address employees' off-duty marijuana use, reflecting compliance legal landscape that balances individual rights with employer policies. So just a quick overview, California, they, as of effective January 1st of 2024, prohibits employers from discriminating against employees for off-duty marijuana use, provided it doesn't impair job performance or violate federal regulations. And then we have New York. Employers cannot take adverse actions against employees for lawful off-duty cannabis use unless such use impairs job performance or violates federal law. Then Montana, employers are restricted from taking adverse action against employees for lawful off-duty usage as well. And then Minnesota, state laws provide protections for employees' lawful off-duty marijuana usage with exceptions related to job performance and safety. And then we have Washington. Employers are generally prohibited from taking adverse actions against employees for lawful off-duty marijuana usage, bearing specific exceptions. And then you have Colorado, where recreational marijuana use is legal. A legal framework presents unique considerations. So the state statute protects employees from termination for engaging in lawful activities off the employer's permissions during non-working hours. Employer policies for Colorado, employers may enforce zero tolerance drug policies that prohibit marijuana use, aligning with both state and federal regulations. And those are the most current off-duty marijuana usage laws that are in place. And then you have Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which is also known as OSHA. So OSHA does not prohibit workplace drug testing, but has issued guidance to ensure that testing policies do not discourage employees from reporting workplace injuries. And then you have post-accident OSHA standards, that's the 29 CFR 1904. Employers can conduct post-accident drug testing if there is a legitimate reason for believing drug use is causing the post-accident. And then prohibit practice. Blanket post-accident drug testing without reasonable suspicion. OSHA reviews as potentially and discouraging injury reporting. And then if an employee's action contributed to an accident, and then best practices for employers, implement an impairment-based drug testing policy rather than automatically testing all injured employees. Ensure post-accident drug testing aligns with state laws and OSHA's guidance. And then you have random and pre-employment drug testing. OSHA does not restrict employers from conducting random pre-employment or reasonable suspicion drug testing. Employers must ensure testing policies are consistently applied and do not violate employee rights. And then for marijuana and OSHA regulations, although many states have legalized marijuana, as we all know, OSHA does not require employers to accommodate marijuana use in the workplace. Employer rights employers can prohibit marijuana use on the job and take disciplinary action if any employee is impaired at work. So I just want to do a little key takeaways for this section. Post-accident drug testing must be based on reasonable suspicion, which is the blanket testing. And then employers can conduct pre-employment random and reasonable suspicion testing as long as they comply with the state and federal laws. Marijuana policies should align with both state laws and workplace safety requirements. And then medical surveillance is required for employees exposed to hazardous substances. Monitoring must be conducted per OSHA standards. And then Department of Transportation. A lot going on here with Department of Transportation, as we all know. There was a lot for oral testing to be allowed, but as of right now, that is not into effect until HHS, Human Health Services, identifies 2 laboratories for the confirmation and the primary for the samples to be sent to. Currently, there is training going on with collectors to be certified for DOT oral collections to be administered, and they're going through all of their testings to ensure that everything's being done properly. And then for the FMCSA clearinghouse, as you know, we all need to comply with the clearinghouse, make sure your drivers are registered in the clearinghouse. When the queries are ran, they consent to the queries. So we just need to make sure that is all updated with your organization, as well as if you have a TPA that you want to assign for the clearinghouse to run those queries for you, do your annual queries. You just need to make sure that they're linked to complete those services for you. And then for the Department of Transportation, for the best practices for compliance, regularly update drug and alcohol testing policies to reflect changes in the DOT regulations, ensure all employees subject to drug testing are aware of their rights and responsibilities, and then maintain an impaired driving awareness program for all your employees to reduce risks of alcohol or drug related accidents. And then educate your supervisors on recognizing reasonable suspicion of impairment and properly documenting the suspicions. And then the recent I just wanted to go back to the oral. So for the recent developments that went into effect November 2024, that the final rule 89 FR amending its regulations primarily concerning the oral fluid testing, and then direct observed collections due to unavailability of certified oral laboratories. DOT has proposed amendments to require directly observed urine collections in situations where oral fluid collections would be mandated. This in turn measure all remain until Human Health Services certifies the second oral fluid drug testing laboratory. And then looking ahead, the the certification process. The certification of laboratories for oral fluid testing is ongoing, as I already mentioned. And then Human Health Services has indicated that that certification typically takes 3 to 6 months from the receipt of the application, and then transition to oral fluid testing. Once the laboratories are certified, employers will have the option to implement oral fluid testing. This transition aims to enhance the integrity of drug testing programs and addresses challenges associated with urine specimen collections. So while the Department of Transportation has updated its regulations to ensure oral fluid testing, the actual implementation of this method is pending certification of the laboratories, like I had mentioned. Employers should stay informed about these developments and prepare to adopt their drug testing policies on oral testing. How you're going to do that, if you're going to do the oral fluid and then revert to the urine collections if they need to be observed. And then the carve out for marijuana in the laws. So recently, some of us who are on the Government Affairs Committee went to Washington, D.C. and advocated for the employers, the public safety as well. So there is currently cannabis, there's rumors out there that the DEA is wanting to reschedule marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. And there's no protection in the current rule for the public safety if that was to happen, and there is not employers' rights as well in the ruling. So what that means is employers, even if they wanted to test for marijuana, because it would be on a Schedule 3, it would no longer be required by the federal law to be tested in the DOT drug panel. So that causes, as you can think of, you have the issue, pilots, truck drivers, bus drivers can smoke marijuana, and they wouldn't be able to be tested because it would no longer be in the DOT drug panel. So we went and advocated for the employers' rights as well as the public safety to keep the marijuana in the DOT drug panel. We're not saying we don't care what they do after hours, but it's more during hours. The other thing that the Department of Transportation is looking at is adding fentanyl to the drug test, the DOT drug panel. So that was another piece we were advocating for, because as we all know, fentanyl is super expensive. So it's going to raise the cost of the drug panel if that drug was to be added. And then, so the next category is going to be occupational health. So occupational health screening in the workplace. So the most common industries that are considered safety sensitive, and you probably wouldn't think that it would be, but obviously the Department of Transportation, and then you have the healthcare, because they deal with people inside in every aspect. And then manufacturing and heavy equipment operators, and then you have the hospitality, construction, power plants, and utilities. So impact on the safety, productivity, and compliance when it comes to occupational health. So You have regular occupational health services, different types of environments, high risk environments, look like the manufacturing or healthcare. And then you have the manufacturing and transportation, using improper equipment. You have the accidents, and then ocean DOT regulations require health assessments. And then you have in construction or manufacturing, failing to address workplace hazards. So you have workers' compensation claims. And then in 2024, if you currently operate on a 10% profit margin, you would need to generate 1.2 million in additional sales just to cover the cost of one average injury. That's a lot. So that's all I really had on the occupational health. So I'm going to go into the AccuSource HR solutions that we offer. First, I wanted to share we are nationally accredited with NADESA. This achievement marks a milestone for us. We unite to uphold drug-free workplaces and safeguard public safety. And then there is currently about 5 other CRAs that has the same accreditation. And then let me go to, okay, so the different testing methods. Obviously, we all know what urine is, right? So urine recommended for days and weeks for the drug detection. Now keep in mind that depends on how frequent an individual partakes in a drug. You also have to take into consideration the each individual is different when they metabolize. So if an individual says, well, I didn't smoke something, it was 2 weeks ago, because everybody metabolizes differently, it could show, you know, still positive even though it was weeks ago. So we just need to keep that into consideration as well. And then you have oral fluid. So currently oral fluid, this is the most recommended product or testing method if you're looking for more recent usage. So the drugs can be detected from 1 to 24 hours of last usage. So this is the most product to use for the, I don't know if you want to use the impaired, but for the most usage. And then you have hair testing. So the hair testing is recommended for long-term drug abuse patterns. So it's a little bit different. There are some organizations that uses this type of method for individuals who are coming back for full follow-up programs, for the non-DOT follow-up programs, just to make sure there's no new patterns. And then you have random program management. So included with DOT program management that we offer is the electronic DOT scheduling with the ECOCs. Now we do offer paper options in the rural areas. And then random pool electronic selections. So that would be monthly, quarterly, or semi-quarterly. And then we upload the client employee roster into the random program computerized generizer that is DOT compliant. And then continual monitoring of the pools to ensure that they are in compliant, you are meeting your numbers. And then always ensure that the client is up to date on any regulations changes that come into play. And then of course, FMCSA clearinghouse reporting. As you know, we're not able to report the positive results, but we can report the refusals to test and the follow-up, the last follow-up test. And then reports, so you would receive your statistical reports and then quarterly compliance reports, which shows the negatives, positives, canceled, and refuses. And then your MIS annual reports. And then if you were to go through a Department of Transportation audit, we would definitely assist you in that. We are true believers on partnering with our clients, so you would never feel alone with us. We would make sure that you breeze through the audit and get a thumbs up, and so we would definitely partner with you on that. And then DOT and non-DOT follow-up program. So this program is like the random program, but it goes in a little bit further. So in the event, like a Department of Transportation employee, a safety sensitive employee, test positive for whatever drug it may be, they would go through the substance abuse professional program, complete their program, and then they would go into the follow-up program. And it would be the substance abuse professional's recommendation of how many drug tests and alcohol tests that would need to be completed before he can officially be returned, or she be returned to a safety sensitive position. So we can definitely help you with those types of programs. And then you have post-accident reasonable suspicion. So the offerings we have, or the solutions, are oral self-collections, oral proctoring on demand, electronic scheduling during AccuSource's normal business hours. And then you have reasonable suspicion, the same solutions for the oral self-collections, oral proctoring on demand. And then you want to make sure that you're using the supervisor's checklist, and make sure that the observations of the employee is being documented. And then electronic scheduling during AccuSource's normal business hours as well. And then after hours on-site testing. For after hours, we do have a 1-800 number that you can call into. This would be used after AccuSource is closed for the day. You'd be provided an 800 number. You'd also get a protocol on what steps you need to take during that incident. And then you have oral proctoring on demand. We do have hospitals or collection sites that can be used. Usually when you call the 1-800 number, they would be the ones that would identify what hospital you can go to, and if there is a collection site that's available in your area that is 24/7. It is mostly going to be paper chain of custodies, unless the after hours service team is able to locate a collection site that is 24/7 and they accept electronic chain of custodies. And then there's the on-site emergency call out. If there is an on-site emergency call out needed, you just need to make sure that there is a restroom that can be used where nobody goes in and out. And then on-site testing, oral proctoring on demand. Again, paper chain of custodies can be used, and then randoms collector on sites, we can also accommodate those. So oral proctoring on demand and oral self collects. Right now, the oral proctoring on demand is the most newest product. So kind of think of it as it's a virtual collection, but it's kind of like a virtual doctor's appointment. So the virtual collector would walk the employee or applicant through the whole process of the collection, and everything is recorded and is housed, the recording is housed for the lifetime of the account. And then individual kits can be shipped to the applicant physical address or the organization's physical address. It's not in cases, it's actual individual kits. And then result portal with notifications. You'll have access to the results. They do come in a PDF format, so if you need to download them into and then put them in an employee file, you can definitely do that as well. And there is a second oral collection for confirmation for lab testing. So in the event that the virtual collector is not able to read the instant result from the first collection, they would walk the individual through a second collection for it to be shipped to the laboratory. The virtual collector does not let that employee or applicant know that it is a possible, it needs to go through confirmation. And then you can also use this product for non-DOT randoms. And then post-accident reasonable suspicion. The proctors are 24/7. They also do speak more than one language. So if you have somebody that's French, what's another one? German, Spanish, it's all in that wording. And they will have a list of proctors or available proctors that would be able to do those virtual collections. And then shipping supplies are provided in the kit, the individual kit, along with the electronic electronic chain of custody in the event it has to go to the laboratory for confirmation. And then you have the oral self-collects. So we do have multiple partners that we use for this product. So we have a few that are FDA approved to follow the state laws that have specific requirements for same sample set-ins or sent-ins for confirmation testing. And then we also have the non-FDA approved products as well. So for this product, it does need to be supervised by company staff to ensure that the employee or applicant is doing the testing correctly, and then ordered only by cases. So there's 25 devices in a case. I often get asked if alcohol is included in the drug, the oral panels, and alcohol is not currently included in the confirmation or the drug panels. There is a separate product for the alcohol, so they would have to do 2 tests, but we do have the alcohol devices as well. And then you can also use this product for non-DOT randoms. Occupational health services. So we have standard to complex. So the standard is your regular physicals, your vaccines, titers, the audiograms and the OSHA audiogram, the pulmonary function test, and then the occupational health complex is your human performance evaluations, also known as your essential function test, your fit for duty physicals, range of motion. So those are the more complex that we offer. And we can actually build out, like the human performance evaluations and physicals, we are able to build those documents out for you based off of the job descriptions. And then collection site management and concierge services. So for collection site management, we do monitor collection site database with our vendors, and we do have more than one vendor that we do use, so we're not limited for especially those rural areas. And we do send over to our vendors, new collection sites to be added into the database. They vet them, train them. We also vet them before we send them over. Work with vendors to update their databases and ensure collectors hold accurate certificates. That is for DOT and non-DOT. So we do actually require to have those sent over because we want to have the applicants to have the best experience when they do go to the collection sites. Concierge service, ability to bundle drug and health components and streamline one donor pass with multiple services. Customize an email template to whatever verbiage you would like your applicants to see. And then set donor expectations by being proactive. So it's working with the applicants to ensure, their experience is the best one. So we do work with them. And then collection site training, making sure that the collection sites are meeting our expectations, and not only ours, but yours as well. So we do train the clinics. And then assist donors when needed at the collection sites. So if they're waiting in the waiting room more than 5 minutes, we call the clinics and let them know, you're not meeting the expectations that has been set. And then they push them through the line to get them collected and out the door. And then tracking system for different stages of the OC health. So we do have a tracking system for the different stages that you would receive a report at the end of the day. So that way you're never in wondering where they're at. And then I think that is it. So if we have questions, Danielle, if you
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Melissa. Now we'll spend the rest of the webinar answering your questions. If you haven't had a chance to submit the questions through our chat function, please feel free to do so now. Melissa, our first question is, I think it's more of a clarification, but when you said human health services, did you mean the Department of Health and Human Services? Just to clarify.
Yes.
Fantastic. The next question that we have is, how should employers handle positive drug test results when maintaining compliance and fairness?
Sure. So that's a great question. So the best way to do that is making sure that the applicant is calling the MRO to complete the donor interview process. If it is reported as a non-contact positive, just reaching out to that individual, just saying, hey, call into the MRO office to complete that donor interview. And then if it is post-hire, then just recommend, if you have a second chance program, to offer that to the employee and follow your in-house drug abuse policy for those positives as well.
Great. The next question that we have is, what are the best practices for handling reasonable suspicion drug testing situations? Sorry.
That's okay. So have your supervisors complete the checklist when one has been addressed to you. And when you complete the checklist, make sure you have a second person in the room when you have a conversation with that employee, because you never want to maybe miss something in those situations.
Fantastic. The next question that we have is, how should employers manage return to duty and follow up drug testing for employees with violations?
So I would make sure that they complete the second chance programs and have them complete all the required testings for the follow-up based off of the substance abuse professionals' recommendations.
Fantastic. Well, it looks like that is the end of our questions. So thank you, Melissa, for leading this informative webinar. And we extend our heartfelt thanks to all of our attendees for joining us today. If you have any further questions, please contact us at marketing@AccuSourceHR.com. On behalf of the AccuSource HR team, we wish you all a wonderful day.